Hi guys, welcome to the Brappening channel. And today we're going to be looking at the I blew it analysis of South Africa. The accounting and finance show is finally back, and I am proud to announce that I, Brad Partley, will be one out of 100 speakers that will be contributing to this magnificent show. The show looks to cover accounting, finance, as well as business-related topics to boost your productivity, boost your knowledge, but also look into the future and see how innovation is impacting our finances. So come join us, get your free ticket, and see you on the 1st and 2nd of September. With all that's happening in terms of PPE scandals, corruption, and just whatever our government is up to in terms of handling the public purse, I think now is the time for me to do a video that really just shows how we are truly blowing whatever resources that we have. In fact, since COVID-19 hit the South African shores, it has actually been already worse, and now it's just getting really bad. Now, you might be wondering, what is this thing that is ticking down below the screen? Well, as I'm making this video, I'm going to show you how much trouble we're really in terms of how South Africa is managing its debt and mismanaging the financial resources that we should be using effectively enough to create jobs and therefore create much needed economic activity to really put this country where it should be. South Africa, just like any other organization, and in fact just like any other individual, has some sort of a credit score. Now, our credit score currently right now, we're sitting at minus BB under investment grading, which is effectively a negative grading. There are multiple gradings, and I'll just show you guys an overview of the type of gradings by various ratings agencies that we have. But in simple terms, you can correlate what's happening to South Africa with what's really happening to many South Africans as it is. As it is right now, many people are struggling to manage debt, and quite a number of people don't actually have good enough credit scores to get some funding or get some financing for whatever purpose that is needed. Now, having this type of conversation, remember now, I'm not trying to be a woke person and tell you, hey, you must go and have no debt whatsoever and live a cash life where you just pay everything cash and such and such. Well, these are different types of strategies, and you must remember that debt is actually not a bad thing. It becomes bad when it's mismanaged, and that's where most, including our country, and most people find ourselves in, because more people are using debt for the wrong reasons. And once you also have debt, besides using it for the wrong reasons, we're also mismanaging it. We're mismanaging it by, when we get it, we don't use it to propel ourselves. We're using it to fill gaps. We're using it to fill plot holes of whatever previous things that would have happened. And at the end of the day, it's just not benefiting us. It's not taking us forward. It's just making us catch up. And then at the end of the day, we do catch up because we receive the debt. But what do? We still have a liability to pay back. And we don't just pay back what we borrowed. We pay back what we borrowed plus interest. And that's where now the problems crack in terms of debt. And that's where our country also finds itself in. Since 1994 to 2010 and 2020, we've been on a capital expenditure drive, of which it was a good strategy that we were employing. However, because now people in power started to be corrupt, mismanagement crept in, and at the end of the day, of course, corruption is not something new into the new South African dispensation. It's been around. But now we're talking about levels of corruption that are eroding performance, that are eroding economic activity to the point whereby we are just incurring debt for the sake of it. This is proven with all the borrowings that we are incurring in terms of going to the IMF, in terms of just so many budgetary mishaps that we are doing, because the finance minister has laid out budgets, whether it's a midterm, supplementary, whatever budget that is, things are just not going according to budget. And there was 500 billion that was promised, that was going to be raised, of which government that does not have that type of cash. That is money that has to be raised from multiple sources. They have to make promises that they are going to pay back, that they are going to apply certain measures to make sure that economic activity is saved and also encouraged. And these are the type of things that are really putting us in a very difficult situation, that already we were in a very difficult situation before. Now, once again, picture yourself, you're an individual, you have some sort of income, you want to borrow, but somehow you can't afford to borrow. That's effectively where South Africa is sitting. We are a person that is making money, we have some sort of economic activity. However, our expenditure is so high that whatever that we are doing is really not assisting us in terms of economic benefits. So, in other words, we are spending more than we can make. And the reason why we're able to do that is because we have been at a good rating in terms of our credit, and we are being effectively given a credit card whereby we were able to spend as much as we can. However, we were not being careful of our spending, careful enough to use the spending in order to propel us to a better economic situation. In other words, to really sum this up quite frankly, we should be borrowing in order to be able to generate more economic activity. In other words, you borrow in order to increase your revenue generation capacity. Revenue generation capacity from a national point of view is infrastructure development. When we're having infrastructure development, that's when we are creating situations whereby jobs are being created initially. And once this infrastructure is available, further jobs should be encouraged by the virtue of entrepreneurs, business people, and developers, and just anyone that is an economic multiplier is assisting to use this infrastructure to further their business interests, as well as becoming an attractive destination in terms of foreign investment, because foreign investment looks at the investability of a country in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the readiness of skills and the people within the country. And when infrastructure and all sorts of an economic conducive situation is created, this is what creates economic activity. And when economic activity has been created, then more people have money to spend, and taxes are able to be collected from these people that have money to be spent. And at the end of the day, government is happy, people are happy, business is happy, foreign investment is happy, and then we are creating more, we are paying back our debts, and effectively that will be the great situation that we have been and we are longing to get back to. We're on the website called commodity.com. Now, this is where we're able to view some sort of stats in terms of South Africa's debt clock or national debt. Now, what we're looking at right now is the last update, which was on the 8th of March 2020. Now, this is important because this was before lockdown was constituted. So at a later stage, when they've updated this, it seems like they update them per quarter. So we'll see. I don't know when they update them, but then I will come back to give you an indication that ever since COVID, how have we been affected. But nonetheless, the situation was, as I said, dire before COVID, and let's see what were the figures looking at. So looking at our interest payment per year, we were sitting at listen carefully. So remember now, when it's 3 dots, it's a billion. When it's 1, it's hundreds, thousands. When it's 2, you're looking at millions. When it's 3, it's billions. So just note that. So our interest payment per year was 211 billion 413 million 176,834. That is the amount of interest that we've been paying. Now, the interest that we've been paying has been occurring Now, how it's been accruing, it's basically 6,704 rands per second. So each and every second that I speak, 6,704 is what is accruing. That's why per year our interest has accumulated to this point. And remember, this is accruing interest, it's accumulating, it's compounded, it's not simple. So this figure is just nominal. So it's forever increasing and forever changing. Now, because we are all together in this, we are South Africans and we are paying taxes. This is our portion based on the population of 54.5 million. This is the amount of debt per citizen. So you and I each have 73,827 rands that we have to assist government to pay back our debt, or the South Africa's debt. Now, what this means, obviously now, this could scare some people, but that means that if all of us were to pay 73,827 each right now, or as of the 8th of March, we'll be able to take South Africa out of its debt situation. So in other words, South Africa could be debt free if each and every 54 million South African pays 73, just over 73, or just under 73,000. So keep that in mind. Now, this is a very important figure. Debt as a percentage of GDP. GDP is gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is just basically economic activity of a country. Now remember, when you are looking at borrowings, you are looking at how can you borrow less than what you make. And this is why this ratio is very important, because now if we are starting, and remember now, this does not consider what we spend. It's just a percentage of what we generate in terms of income flows, because now what we generate will determine how we can pay back. Now the issue is now, as of the 8th of March, our GDP, our debt as percentage of GDP was sitting at 60%. Some analysts are predicting that by 2020 and beyond, we'll be at 81% or so. This is rather scary, and this is one of the things that we really need to watch, because this is why we are at junk status, because we have surpassed the 50% mark. We are slowly but surely approaching the 70% mark, and obviously with COVID, once again, these figures are pre-COVID. Our debt as a percentage of GDP is definitely on the rise. It has been impacted simply because of COVID right now. So this figure could easily be about 70%, if not more. Now the next thing is, what is our debt? As of the 8th of March, our debt was sitting at this figure here. This is a lot of money. Now, once again, here's your commas. How many commas do you see? 1, 2, 3 billion, 4 trillion. So, for perspective, our national budget, I think it was about 3 trillion that the finance minister was managing, or if not 5 trillion, I could be mistaken. The amount of debt that South Africa has is 6 trillion 644 billion 414 million 129,067. That is the amount of debt that we, as of the 8th of March, have. I've made a lot of upbeat videos, but I think nothing is comparable to what South Africa is doing. And unfortunately, because South Africa is not a natural person, it's in fact a juristic person. A juristic person in legal terms is a person that is not natural and they are capable of living forever. Now, because of this perceived immortality, it's giving a misconception to our leadership. It's giving a misconception to whoever is in charge of our public purse, and they are, basically saying that, or they are acting out saying that This country can afford the debt that it's chasing. It needs to spend the amount that it is spending currently, and all of it is worth it because we will someday recover. And this someday recovering mentality is not working for us because we are bit by bit destroying our future. We are destroying the economic activity that we should be enjoying as it is today because of simply being free since 1994, and today we should be enjoying the freedoms of our new South Africa. But unfortunately, that's not the case, and with the added detrimental effect of corruption and looting and all these scandals, things are just not gonna be better. So I really hope that this video will, encourage some sort of, movement, some sort of anything, guys. South Africa needs all that it can so that people need to start creating jobs. That's why there's so much emphasis on small businesses. There's so much emphasis on just new business ideas being encouraged so that economic activity can be encouraged without the assistance of government. Because at the end of the day, government, if we're going to be relying on government, clearly we're going to have a problem. And once again, guys, it's up to you, it's up to us for ourselves to take ourselves out of this situation. Because at the end of the day, we cannot leave it to government. Government needs our taxes. And unfortunately, because we're part of South Africa, we're part of Team South Africa, we have to contribute towards the the fiscus. We have to contribute by being tax compliant and just making sure that we create more income in order for ourselves to have a better life. Because at the end of the day, guys, post-COVID or post whatever time that they deem is post-COVID, guess what? We're going to have a budget speech and we're going to be told that we need to pay up. And we're going to have to pay up. And that's the problem, guys. It's a problem that we're going to face it whether we like it or not. If we don't face it, our children will face it. So at the end of the day, once again, this video is created to really encourage as much as it might be discouraging. The main thing is I'm trying to encourage people to realize the situation and realize that we don't have time to play. It's time to act, it's time to create income, and let's be successful, guys. I hope you learned something. Please remember to subscribe. See you on the next one.